Here we are.
We made it.
We did.
Day one.
Day one. Um, we had, for those of you who are just now tuning in, which is all of you guys, um, Jenny and I have been working on something. It's something that we've talked about. It's something that we've prayed about. It's something that we have really discerned, and we're intentional about why.
Mm.
With that being said, this is Begin Again. This is our podcast.
Stories rooted in transformation.
That's right. Um, we were talking before this, and again, a lot of preparation has gone into this. If only you knew, really, the room that we're sitting in right now. It's nuts. I'm sure you'll see it, but just even this room that we're sitting in right now, it's just wild to look around.
There's already been transformation brewing.
Yeah, literally. So, but we were talking before this, and you had mentioned that you're nervous, and I say we just jump into the deep end here, Nerves. Why? Why are you nervous?
I think I think it's definitely silly that I'm nervous because we have these conversations every single day. I mean, we will just have these meaningful, insightful conversations and we lose track of time and we're sitting in this room or, at one of our houses or anywhere in my office and it's 2 or 3 hours later and we're like, okay, it's time to go.
Yeah.
But I think that now we're going outside of our bubble, outside of each other, of our safe zone,
Yeah.
and we're letting other people into our bubble now. We're letting other people into our safe zone.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid of, I guess, what people are going to say, oh, that's cringy or that's silly or that's stupid. I know I shouldn't be, but that's my reality. And I think that in order to really be free, like I have to let go of that. I cannot be chained by other people's opinions of me. I think it scares me a little bit too, more so because we're in like a really small town. Everyone knows us around here. And, we're going to walk around campus and they're going to be like, oh, I saw your podcast. And, in the back of my head, I'm going to be thinking like, okay, what did you think? Like, are you really telling me the truth?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I know that I have a lot of support back home. I know you do too.
Yeah.
For those of you that don't know, home is Miami for me. And home is
Richmond for me. So
yeah,
we're not real close.
we're not real close.
No.
Yeah, but somehow God put us in each other's lives at the perfect time.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just for a season. I don't know. We don't really know exactly where this is going, Caleb.
No.
But like you have told me so many times, we just have to start. We're not gonna and I have been so worried about, okay, but we have to make a plan and we have to write everything down and we have to have a timeline. And you're like, Jenny, stop. We don't need all that.
Yeah.
We just have to start.
Yeah.
We just have to have a conversation. And so thank you for doing that because I think you've slowed me down when I'm trying to go 100 miles an hour, worried about minuscule things that I don't need to be worried about,
Yeah. Wow. Touching on what you'd said, like we just got to go. That's something that's really rooted in this idea of like, we're gonna have an excuse for everything.
For sure.
Everything's got like you can have an excuse for anything. I can have an excuse not to get out of bed in the morning. That's very easy, and that's something we'll talk about more. Later in this specific podcast.
Yeah.
But then continuing down the road. That's something that we'll always talk about.
Yeah.
Excuses are the human condition for survival. We're rooted in comfort. So that's something that we'll definitely be touching on. You said something though that that resonates with me, and that is about our support system. That's something that makes me nervous. It is so weird too to me, because support system, those are the people I'm most nervous, for. And so I think there's a lot of like interpersonal work there for me to reflect on. Why am I nervous that the people who support me the most are going to be hearing some of the
More vulnerable,
vulnerable,
intimate parts of your life.
right? Why am I able to be more vulnerable to a stranger than I am to my support system? Is that because that person?
Are you afraid of disappointing them?
Maybe. I don't think I have an answer for it. I think that it has to come with the fact that I like to play this role of like strong. I like to play this role of thinking I got everything figured out, and having this strong desire to be there for others. And if somebody sees a weaker side of me, then suddenly I'm not fit for that role anymore. So I think, we were praying before this, and it had been spoken over me that that transformation is something that we hope to be able to instill in others. But this podcast, in a way, will serve as a way for us to also transform.
Absolutely.
So,
And
yeah,
that's something that you've challenged me with, because I won't lie, when you texted me sometime over the Christmas break with this long paragraph of your epiphany, I was like, oh gosh, here we go. I definitely rolled my eyes at your text, and I sat on it, because I'm like, okay, this is Caleb just, going off on a whim, one of his new projects that we're not going to do. And I thought it was really silly at first. I'm admitting that to you now.
it's fine.
I thought it was really silly at first. And then I ignored it for like a good day, and I was like, whatever. I'll answer him later. Then at night, I started to really think about it. I started to pray about it, and I'm like, well, could this be? I don't know. I asked God for his opinion. I'm like, give me some clarity. Um, I, when I texted you back 3 days later, I don't think that I had that full clarity from God, but I just felt like, I guess, like I could trust you. And so I was like, you know what? Like, I feel like God's telling me just like trust him, trust God, trust Caleb. Like, you don't see it now, but you will. And just do it. Just go with the flow, if you will. Which is very hard for me to do.
Yeah.
I want to have a plan for everything. I want to have certainty. We were just talking about that this morning.
Yep.
I want to have certainty of everything.
Yep.
Of every single situation and every single outcome. That's just not possible.
That's right. Yeah, we talked about how anxiety is the antidote, if you will, to certainty. And so anxiety is rooted in the lack of certainty. And so things that are outside of our control, in the psychology field, we call it the external locus of control, the things that you cannot control. Anxiety is rooted in that. And the cycle is, the more you get fixated on the very thing that you cannot control, the more anxiety you are being dealt with, right? Or the more anxiety you take on, I should say, because anxiety is very much an interpersonal thing. There's the biology side of it, the environmental side of it. All that stuff plays a role in the brain chemistry, but ultimately anxiety is very much rooted in the lack of certainty. if you will.
Now, that doesn't mean we shouldn't prepare. I think that
Of course.
we still, it's important
Yeah.
that we prepare. However, I think that we need to, as humans, decide what can I control, what I cannot control.
Mm-hmm.
The things that I cannot control right now, let them go.
Yeah,
Don't worry
of
about it.
course. Yeah. And focus on the things that are
Focus
the here and now,
the
really.
here and now.
You know? And so like those are things that we're gonna cover
Yeah.
literally within like in like the next 10 minutes. So but yeah, before we get started, you know, I wanna say that like I'm really excited for us. Um I'm excited for whoever is on this journey with us. I'm excited for my own growth. I'm excited to, you know, hear the growth of others if that's an opportunity that we get. I'm nervous because the reality is there's going to be things that I say here that people that I know close to me do not know.
Yeah.
You know, there's going to be moments of vulnerability that I share
Yeah.
where I don't know what the response is going to be, and so I think it's funny that we were just talking about anxiety because that's not a certainty. I don't know how people are going to respond to the
Right.
things that I'm saying, especially the ones that are close to me.
Right.
So I can't wait to see where this takes us.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see where you go too.
I don't know where it is, but I'm definitely excited.
Yeah.
I woke up today. Actually, it's funny because I woke up today and Caleb said we were waking up at 9. Well, my body woke me up at 7:30. Actually, 7:41 to be
Wait,
exact.
when did we go to bed though?
Oh, we went to bed at 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
Getting this ready.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for those of you that know me, I love my sleep. Okay? I need to sleep 9 hours. At least 8, but like 9 to really feel regenerated.
Yeah.
And so when Caleb was like, okay, we're waking up at 9, I was like, okay. Put my alarm. I didn't even make it to my alarm.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess my body knew that we were going to Disneyland today.
Yeah.
Because as a kid, if mom and dad said we're going to Disney World tomorrow,
You're not sleeping.
I'm not sleeping.
Yeah. Yeah. For those Richmonders, that's like, well, I guess there's not really anything like Disney in Richmond, but I guess it'd kind of be like Kingston Minion.
But I think Disney resonates with
Everybody.
everyone.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's like Christmas. I mean, we said it last night. This is Begin Again Eve, you know?
Yes, exactly.
So.
So yeah, my alarm went off, and at first I was like, oh, I'm gonna snooze. I still have an hour and a half. I'll just get up at 9. And then I said, nope. Hopped right out of bed, started my routine, put my worship music on. You know, I started to clean a little bit, made my coffee, Cuban coffee. It's the best and the only, okay? Not that Keurig stuff you're drinking.
This is Keurig Cafe Bustelo, though.
It is.
It is.
Wow, I'm impressed.
Actually, no, this one's Black Rifle. So.
Not good. So yeah, all that to say, I'm really, really excited.
Yeah.
And you changed my mind, definitely. And God did too.
Yeah. Well.
So Caleb, about a week ago, we were running at 7:30 in the morning
In the freezing cold.
30-degree weather.
Might
have been lower.
Might have been lower.
And you challenged me to think of some of the pillars of transformation.
Mm-hmm.
What should they be? What do we name them? How many should we have? I thought of 2, but you were dead set on 5.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us about what those 5 pillars are?
Yeah. And we before I get started, we were talking about these 5 pillars, and we were so dead set on it had to be a system.
Yeah.
The pillars had to work in a chronological order.
Yeah.
And they kind of do in a way. And so we did put them in an order. But to be honest, when one starts, the other one doesn't stop. You know,
Like a domino effect?
it's not a domino effect, because the reality is, and we'll go over these in a minute, in the midst of all of these, purpose is the first one. In the midst of all of these, if you forget your purpose, that's where the journey stops.
Right. You've
Now it
lost your
might be a
way.
2 week buffer, right? But if I'm going to the gym every day and I'm lifting because I tell myself I want to be healthy for my kids.
Yeah.
I don't have kids, but it's just hypothetical.
Or thinking of your future.
Yeah, or thinking of my future. We'll just say that,
Yeah.
right? And then I lose sight of that and I say, oh, I'm trying to look big now, you know? And I lose sight of that purpose that I once had. I might last 3 weeks,
Right.
but then, one day I'm going to wake up and not feel like it. And because I lost sight of my purpose, I don't any longer have an urgency to get up. So I want to preface this and say, yes, they're in order,
Okay.
to an extent, but
Can we agree that they all kind of cascade from purpose, maybe?
absolutely. I
Okay.
think purpose is the root,
Okay.
purpose. We were in church the other day and the pastor was talking about roots, and how a cedar tree is only as big as it is because the roots
Yeah.
allow for it longevity,
Yeah.
right? So I think purpose is,
And it's an intricate, complicated system.
yes, it is.
Yeah.
And that's something, purpose is going to be a whole conversation within itself,
Right.
just as all these other pillars will be. But this is an overview.
Yeah.
So sorry, what were you going to say?
Do you want to touch a little bit on what your why is? Just a little, but
Yeah.
because we'll go more in depth in future
Definitely.
episodes.
Yeah. For those who know me, these last 4 years, have been some of the hardest of my life. There's a way of humbleness that comes with transformation. And so before purpose, there is tragedy. Before purpose, there is epiphany. Before purpose, there is tests and trials. And doesn't look the same for everybody. But for me, it was some of the hardest parts of my life. I was broken as a man, shattered to the core. In other words, I had to die to my old self. And the only way that was going to happen was if I was put through something that forced me to submit and surrender. I lost a best friend to suicide. I was in a committed relationship that didn't work out. I was lost. I struggled with a lot of things and I sought immediate validation. That's something that I'll talk about later, but that I thought would help me. And the reality is none of that stuff, or all that stuff I had to endure in order to die to my old way so that I could actively be transformed, so that I could find my purpose.
Right.
To begin this transformation process. And it's been a 4-year process. And I, as you all may be able to tell, divine intervention is something that is very real to us.
Yeah.
And I believe that there was a season in my life where I was in a spot where I could be broken. And then I was brought to a new place, which is here in Campbellsville, to be restored, to be transformed like a muscle. A muscle has to be broken down. And the only way for it to grow, and the only way to do that is to put it through intense workouts,
Breaking the muscle
breaking the
fibers
muscle fibers down so that it can,
to build them up.
breaking them down just to give it the stuff that it needs to build
Hold
up.
up.
So food, for example, to be broken down is not enough. You have to feed that very thing that's being broken down in order for it to be restored.
Right.
And so I had to be broken down. I had to, in other words, there had to be gaps in me for things to be fed into those gaps so that I could use those things to regrow myself into a better person. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's in a nutshell. That's kind of my why,
Your why.
or my predisposition to my purpose. My purpose is to serve others.
Yep.
And again, that's something that we'll talk. You'll find out like what that means, what serving means.
Right.
That'll be a conversation for a later day. How I choose to serve others. What do I mean when I say my purpose is to serve others? All that will be something that we cover later on. But for this podcast, the most important thing is touching on the 5 pillars. And so, but yeah, I guess that would be my why. Yeah. So, we'll get to yours in a second. So you're gonna be put on the spot here too in a second.
Darn, I was hoping I,
that's gonna happen.
got away with that one.
But transformation, the 5 pillars that we have really discussed, and we were supposed to record this 2 weeks ago, by the way, but we really had a lot to discern on these 5 pillars. So these 5 pillars.
And we also had a room to transform.
A lot of transforming, yes. But these 5 pillars are going to be purpose,
Okay.
humbleness, experience, discipline,
Okay.
and overcoming.
Okay.
Those are the 5 pillars. Should we say them again?
Say it again.
Purpose,
Okay.
humbleness,
Yep.
experience, discipline, and overcoming.
Yep. Do we want to give a small summary of each pillar?
Yeah, but I told you that you were going to be put on the spot.
Okay, go ahead.
Why? What is your why?
So, I don't think that I was broken down as much as you. I've heard your story. But it's similar because I was brought from another place. About, I would say maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I would say my entire transformation, you can probably say it's been between 10 to 12 years. I would say probably since like high school. I had a really hard time finishing my undergraduate degree. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was in nursing school. I failed out of nursing school. I've suffered with I've dealt with a lot of depression over the years. I had a moment in my life where I attempted to succumb to that depression and hurt myself. I'm happy that I didn't.
Me too.
Yeah. When I look back at it now, I get really emotional because I needed, number one, I'm happy that I didn't, but I needed to get to that point to really recognize and realize why I was put on this earth. And it goes back to serving. I did a spiritual gifts test last week that I hadn't done in probably since like high school, so it's been a while. And some of the areas I scored higher in were serving, generosity, mercy, and administration. But I scored the highest in serving, generosity, and mercy. So I tend to feel like I'm a very empathetic person and I take others' emotions on and I feel their emotions. I feel most fulfilled when I'm pouring into others. It hurts sometimes when I don't get poured back into, but that's not why I do it.
Yeah.
Um, so it made sense that I scored the highest on those three.
Sure.
But I feel like the last maybe 10, 12 years of my life, it's been a lot of like coasting, a lot of like, yeah, like I've been lost. Like, where do I go now? What do I do now?
Yeah.
Always searching for what's next. What's the next move?
Yeah.
What's the next destination? And I don't think I 100% feel that I was called to leave Miami and come to Campbellsville, Kentucky. I believe that it is only for a season. I don't feel called to be here for the rest of my life. I don't know where's next. But I do feel like this is temporary. I don't know when this chapter is gonna close, but I wholeheartedly believe that I was called to be here. And if I wasn't called to be here, Caleb, we knew of each other, but we wouldn't be here.
No, that's a story for another day. How we know each other is,
Yeah.
yeah.
And we wouldn't have, yes, we've met, but we wouldn't have never gotten this close. We would have never been each other's accountability partners, friends, everything that we've been through in the last, what, 4 months, 5 or 6 months?
Probably 6 months.
Yeah, in the last 6 months. 6 months ago, I didn't think I was gonna be here. Thought it was just gonna be another start to another semester. And, you know, I've always struggled a lot with like my image, with like a need for validation, with touching upon food. Like that is, I guess, my coping mechanism for anxiety and stress. And all of that is part of my transformation. I have been broken down, but I do believe that I will get broken again. This process is breaking me.
Yeah.
This
And that's a great point. I actually want to touch on that. You said, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt,
No,
but
you're fine.
that right there fires me up a little bit because this is true. I think we're learning the process of what it means to be broken down and when it comes to transformation. And so transformation is the process of just getting broken down over and over and over and over again. And so I think that there's no question that we will be broken again.
Yeah.
But it's a matter of understanding now what it means to respond to being broken down.
Yeah, absolutely. That breaking down is painful.
Yeah.
But there's beauty in the pain.
Absolutely.
Not to be all cliche, but there is beauty in it. You might not see it right now. Right now, you're probably hating life. You're like, oh my God, I have to wake up at 7:30 in the morning to go run in 30-degree weather.
Yeah.
But you know what you also challenged me to do is I was one day freaking out because I'm like, oh my God, I don't have my AirPods. I can't listen to my music. You're like, who cares? Just run without AirPods. I'm like, no, Caleb, I can't do that. I gotta find my AirPods. Like, Jenny, run without the AirPods. Wow, did I hear God? I talked to him the whole time. It was a lot of, God, please don't let me stop. Please don't let me stop.
Yeah, because we ran like 8. Yeah, is it ironic that that was the most we ran that day?
Yeah.
I think we ran like 7 miles that day.
Yeah, I probably did a little less. I probably did 5 or 6, but that's more than I usually do.
Shoot, that's 5 or 6 miles. Yeah, exactly.
Listen, I got up off my couch,
That's
okay?
right.
I went outside.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a lot of, God, please don't let me give up. Please don't let me give up. Please don't let me give up. It was a lot of talking to myself, giving myself a pep talk, but I needed that. And actually, ever since that day, I haven't ran with AirPods. I haven't put my AirPod back in.
Because it's a time of, like, you recognize. And I think that goes with transformation. There's a video that I was watching, and it talks about how the trials that you endured at one time are now a part of your story.
Yep.
That story is why who you are.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I know that's like, you know, comparing apples to, you know, an orchard, if you will, because that's like running is a small representation of that deeper, you know, idea. But it's the principle, right?
Yeah.
Like at one point, running without AirPods was inconceivable to you.
Yes.
It was like, absolutely not.
Well, running was inconceivable to me.
And now look, you run miles without AirPods, and that's incredible.
Yeah.
So let's get into the pillars though.
Okay.
And I want to say this. Your purpose is going to, we said this is going to carry you, right? But let's talk about this idea of gratefulness. Life is not about the things that you are going for. Life is about the things that you're grateful for, you know? And when you can be grateful for all the things that you have in your hardest moments, that's what's going to keep you going.
Yeah.
And your purpose, your why, like we've talked about, is going to be that very thing that you can be grateful for, right? So let's talk about, you know, this idea of purpose. And well, we just covered purpose, and I wanted to touch on that. Let's talk about this next pillar of humbleness. You know, what falls in this idea of humbleness? What does it mean to be humble?
Knowing that I can still learn. I still have a lot to learn. I'm a firm believer in that even when I'm 80 years old, I can still learn something from someone younger than me. I think that sometimes our ego stops us and our pride stops us because from learning, because we might say, well, that person's younger than me. What do they know?
Yeah.
Right? But this has happened to me a lot of times in like my coaching career, my volleyball coaching career, where I learned from my players, or I learned from my assistant coach, that might have been younger than me. But I think that everyone shapes us. Everyone's experiences also shape us. And in order to stay humble, you have to know that there's always room to grow. There's always room to learn. There's people that know way more than you. You don't know it all.
Yeah.
And that is part of growth.
Yeah, I think humbleness is something that is quite vulnerable.
Yeah.
Because humbleness is not just being okay with setting aside your central authority, but taking it a step further and voluntarily being willing to set aside your central authority, your central control, in order to learn something. To literally remove yourself from control.
Yeah.
And as human beings, control is comfort. Because control is, like we talked about earlier, it's certainty, right? And so when you can be certain of something, when you can be in complete control of something, it allows for you to not have to say, one, you know, my mind is going to be changed here. Two, I'm going to have to do something that I don't know.
Right.
You know, three, I'm going to have to be willing to let somebody else take over, or some sort of situation take over, in order for me to hopefully learn.
Right.
That's uncertainty within itself.
Yes, it's
you know
true.
what I'm saying? Because the reality is you could you could be humble. You could humble yourself and it not work out in your favor.
But you still learned something from it.
You did. That's true.
You're still going to learn from your failure.
So do you think failure is rooted in humbleness? Or do you think humbleness is rooted in failure? Or do they have anything to do with each other?
They definitely correlate.
So do you have to, I'm going to ask you this question because these are two pillars and we talked about interchanging.
Yeah.
Does humbleness and overcoming, do they work hand in hand?
I believe that you do need to be humble in order to overcome.
That's such a weird concept. You're telling me that you have to take a step back in order to take a step over? That's what you have to take a step back in order to take a step, in order to overcome a situation. So in other words, you don't have to run full force at something in order to overcome it.
You don't. You just have to go.
But does going mean sitting back? You know, this idea of being humble. Taking a step down does not mean taking a step back.
Right. You're not necessarily sitting back. I don't think you're sitting back. I think that humbleness means it's almost like you're looking at it from a different lens or a different perspective.
Letting something else help you move forward.
Right. And be the catalyst to overcoming that, whatever that barrier is.
So, okay, so see, this is something that's crazy to me. I don't want to say I don't understand. I kind of don't understand. Like there are people who see failure and humbleness as enemies, or failure and overcoming as counterproductive. I would say more overcoming and failure. People see those two things as resistance.
But
Would you agree with
I
that?
believe that you need failure to catapult you into the next thing or the overcoming of that barrier. You need, okay, let me give you, it might be a silly example. Okay, we have a little hill that's icy coming up to your house. And you said, nope, we gotta fall back. We gotta fall back so that we can go forward, right? And our barrier that we had to overcome was the ice and the hill and getting over, the road, right? But you're like, nope, we're gonna have to fall back. So we fell back and then we catapulted forward and we overcame. So I do think that they go hand in hand. I think that it's necessary. You're not sitting back. You're just temporarily falling back in order to move forward.
So failure is redirection.
Yeah, absolutely.
That brings me to an interesting point. So failure is going to fall under humbleness and overcoming all day.
I would say so.
Or you need humbleness in order to, I'll read this because this is a talking point that I wanted to bring up. This was something that I had thought of during our run and I had to write it down. And I basically said this: here's the reality. Failure is inevitable. It's not a matter of if, but of how many times.
Yeah.
The key is your relationship with failure. Will failure serve as a stepping stone or serve as an enemy of progress? Failure is objective. We are the ones that put a value on it. So, I think that goes hand in hand, right? With failure is going to happen. Failure is going to be it's going to be what it is, right? You don't say, oh, I love failure, and so failure suddenly becomes something that is going to be favorable, right?
Yeah.
Failure is not a movie.
Right.
Failure is not something that is enjoyable.
Right.
The reality of failure is that it's objective. It's unbiased. It's what you do with failure.
Right.
What value are you going to put on failure? Is failure going to be something that you use as redirection, or is failure going to be something that you use as an excuse? That's right.
Yeah. And talking about failure, we on our run that day, I thought of the word pruning. And when you prune a plant, for example, you are taking away the good leaves and you're taking away the bad leaves. And you don't only prune one time. You have to prune continuously. So we will be broken down continuously. We will feel pain continuously.
Yeah.
But that pruning, that peeling back of the leaves and the dead branches and even the live branches, that's what's going to bear fruit.
Let's talk about that for a second. Peeling away the live branches. But aren't live branches beneficial?
They are, but what happens sometimes in plants is that they create too many branches and they're going all over the place. And so they're not able to invest into one specific shoot. So it's not, it's almost like your energy is going to all these different places, right? So you have to peel back even the live branches, right? So that all of the energy can go into that one shoot to bear quality fruit. Yes, we want lots of fruit on our trees, but we want quality fruit.
So let's talk about that. Let's bring that back to transformation, because I think this is a fantastic point that we're making, or that you're making here, and that that I think is going to be beneficial to this idea, or serve this idea of transformation, and that is pruning is a discipline, right?
It is.
Not all live things are going to be good for your life.
Right.
Working 80 hours a week
Yep.
in the hopes that you get something out of that might not be beneficial. Let's look at Indiana football. Kurt Signetti practices maybe 40 hours less than other teams, and he just won the national championship. Wow. Because he takes the things, he understands, if I confine our time to this, then we are going to be forced to only focus on the things that are going to make us better.
It's efficient, it's productive that time.
And all that other stuff is noise.
Right. The rest is fluff.
So everything in our transformation, while certain things might feel good, they might not be good. And that is discipline.
Yeah.
And so
and feelings are fleeting.
They
can come and go.
They can be.
They come and go.
And I think that's why discipline should be considered an art.
Right.
Because while art brings about emotion, art itself is not emotion.
Right.
Art brings emotion, but art itself is not emotion. Yeah. And so discipline is an art. And discipline brings about emotions. Yeah. Emotions like fatigue, emotions like exhaustion, or maybe emotions like apathy, right? Because discipline itself is an art. We have to figure out and practice discipline. And that within itself is transformation. We cannot just wake up one day and say, man, I feel disciplined today. No.
Because it's not a feeling. You cannot ride on motivation.
No.
You cannot.
No, I saw this one thing that said motivation is 10% of transformation.
Yep.
You're going to wake up maybe one day out of every 2 weeks and say, I want to do this.
Yep.
I want to do this. And motivation, that's what you see on media.
Yeah.
That was the hardest thing for me, is seeing people like David Goggins and seeing people like Nick Baer,
like
Alex Holland and watching their cinematic videos and being like, oh, let's go. These people ride on motivation every single day. No, That's why their story is so good.
Yep.
Because that's not the reality.
Exactly.
You get out there, you start trying to do what they do, and it's like, holy cow, this is what I saw. This is not reality. Yep. No, the beautiful thing about discipline is that it's so hard.
And it's a choice. It's a choice.
That's right.
It's you're choosing yourself.
That's right.
Every day when you wake up, you make your bed, you read your Bible, you spend some time with God.
Yeah.
Maybe read a motivational, snippet of something, or listen to your motivational podcast. When you choose to go on that run, when you choose to not eat that delicious piece of chocolate cake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I want to talk about This is something that we talked about: green light, yellow light, and red light. That was something that we heard Matthew McConaughey talk about.
Yeah.
And how he talked about how if our life was full of green lights, is it really life? You know?
It would be the purpose.
Yes.
We're not evolving.
Yes. So we go back to interchangeable. You want to go back to that? Let's talk about failure and discipline, and how how desiring failure is a discipline.
It is.
And that's a part of transformation.
Yeah.
To not sit on the sidelines. You know, that's something that you had mentioned.
Yeah.
To not sit on the sidelines. You said something earlier in the week. You said pain is not a punishment, it's an opportunity. Right? And so failure is pain.
Yeah.
Because failure is vulnerable.
Right.
Right? But that within itself is discipline. To choose to say that something that is so uncomfortable, like failure, because again, failure is vulnerable. Failure is, I have this written down right here. I want to read it. It goes hand in hand with failure. Failure, this is a vulnerable place of being because it's exposing the weakest parts of you. It's emphasizing the reason why success is not yet achievable. Failure is scary because it means that you come out on the worst side of a task that you surrendered your authority to. In other words, you decentralized your authority and sought beyond your control for a favorable outcome, and you lost. You lost.
But losing is temporary.
And losing is redirection.
Exactly.
And so we can
And
sit on
that
the
failure is going to catapult us into the next direction.
Yes. And so yellow lights and red lights are
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yellow lights and red lights are saying, I'm going to take this on. Yellow light is, I'm going to take this on. And maybe I do it. Maybe I don't. There's a great possibility that I can.
Right.
A red light is looking at it and being like, oh, there's no way.
There's no way.
But I'm going to try.
Yeah.
But I'm going to try.
Yeah.
You know, I've been experiencing that with my marathon.
Yeah.
I still don't know when I'm going to run that marathon. Every time
You're going to do it.
I'm going to do it.
You're going to do it.
I'm going to do it. I was 1 month away. I was running 16 miles a day.
I know.
And I hurt my knee.
Yeah.
And I literally had to start over.
I know.
Right? And that's failure.
It is.
I failed miserably. I can use that as redirection. Where did I go wrong in that?
Right.
In that season of transformation? So now I can use that to optimize my ability. I had to be broken down. I had to open up myself, create those gaps in myself,
right,
so I can feed it with the right information so I can come back stronger, right?
And you know, you've talked about your dream, right? And you've told me, make your dream almost impossible. That's not a word in my vocabulary, but when I say impossible, I mean make it so big that you don't even know how you're gonna get there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what I think of when we're at that red light and we're like, oh my God, I don't know how I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm gonna get there. I don't know how I'm gonna make this happen, but I'm gonna make it happen.
Yep. That's right.
I have no plan. I'm uncertain of the future,
mm-hmm.
but I'm trusting in God.
Yep.
And I'm trusting in Him to allow me the resources and the tools to go.
Yeah.
To start.
Yeah. Let's talk about the dream. You know, you brought up the dream. You know, for those, again, none of y'all know this, of course, but I have a dream that I am going to open up a farm, a restoration farm for people who struggle with substance use disorder. And I'm going to teach them how to live primitively and holistically redevelop the connections in their brain needed to overcome the very thing that they struggle with.
Right.
Do I even know what that's going to look like? No. I know I have visions of what I want it to be. I don't know the logistics. I don't. But it goes back to what you're saying.
Yeah.
That I love to say. And that is, dreams so big that it feels unachievable.
Yeah.
Because you might just surprise yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
And the reality is, you're opening up a door for failure after failure after failure after failure. Shoot this. Look at us right now.
Yeah.
You know? What would have been the green light?
The green light maybe could have been.
The green light would have been, hey, let's not do this at all.
Yeah.
Let's keep talking about it. Let's keep
Yeah.
talking about it. Let's keep that dopamine going. You know,
Yeah.
the
Keep pushing our start
let's
date.
keep envisioning, right?
Yeah.
Let's keep doing that, right? And let's keep being excited about it week
Yeah.
after week, and
Yeah.
keep coming up with ideas and not
But
executing
never
a single one of them.
exactly executing.
Yeah, executing, exactly.
It's a great word.
Yes. So let's.
The intention could have been there. That would have been the green light.
Yep.
The intention could have been there, but we never actually executed what would have been the purpose.
Right. Exactly. So I want to talk about kind of going back to discipline. You know, I think we've touched on purpose and humbleness. We still have to touch on experience, which we'll do briefly before we wrap this thing up. But just kind of going back to this idea of green lights and yellow lights and red lights and discipline. I want to break this down because again, you guys are going to learn this as we continue to be in this journey. But I'm currently working towards my LCSW, which is a license in clinical social work, and I want to be a counselor and all that stuff. One of the things that we recognize is this idea that transformation. Let's go back to this idea of transformation. Transformation is not knowledge. You know, we talked about this.
Yeah, we did.
Transformation is a theory. Theory is defined as the absence of reality. It is a new concept.
Right.
Transformation will always be something in theory.
Right.
Because transformation is not yet reality. And by the time you allow for transformation to be reality, you're on to the next form of transformation. And so it will. The idea of transformation will always be a theory.
Right.
You don't know what
Once
it's
you
going to look like.
achieve transformation in one regard or one aspect, like we're
You are on
being
to the next.
redirected into the next
Exactly.
transformation.
And so we'll talk about growth in
Right.
one of these, podcasts that we're doing. But just this idea of transformation is a theory.
Right.
Because transformation's never going to be reality. Transformation is always going to be failing. Transformation is always going to be about overcoming. It's
Right.
always going to be about remaining disciplined and focusing on your purpose. In fact, purpose is probably the only part of transformation that
steady.
isn't theory.
Yeah.
That's
And
knowledge. And
Right.
that's what carries you. And that's what allows for you to continue to redefine what transformation means to you.
Right.
And that's how you evolve. At the macro level, when it comes to community and all that stuff, for a whole entire community to evolve, it has to first start with theory. Because if all we do is operate on knowledge, we would never evolve.
Right.
We would still be building fires and
Right.
hunting and gathering. Because we would never try things. Because why? Because we
Never
would
step out of our comfort zone.
never step out of our comfort zone to try something we've never done before.
Right.
Like I said, we would still be building fires and
There would never be any innovation.
no, exactly. And so we have this part of the brain, and I'll talk about it again in some of our, later on podcasts, but it's called the mid-cingulate cortex, the anterior mid-cingulate cortex. And that is a part of our brain that is rooted in transformation through discomfort. We actively have a part of our brain that is rooted in transformation only when you seek discomfort. And so that's something I want to talk about using this analogy of forging a knife. We talk about forging a knife.
Right.
You don't forge a knife you can't forge a knife until you put it in the hottest parts of temperature. To forge a knife, it's not a mundane task. You have to beat it. You have to heat it. I'm talking the highest temperatures, 1,000 degrees. You have to put it in the fire. And you have to get it red hot, and you have to beat it, and you have to put in oil, and you have to heat it, and you have to beat it, and you have to put in oil. And it's a long,
repetitive
daunting process in order to shape this very stubborn thing
We
called...
have to be consistent
Yes,
in
exactly.
forging it.
In forging.
Right.
You have to grind it, and you have to heat it, and you have to beat it, and you have to dip it in this hot oil, and you have to grind it and beat it. And
It's a mundane routine.
exactly. you have to do all that to sharpen it.
Right.
To sharpen it, to make that once piece of rusty, ugly looking metal, this now slick piece of sharp iron that's going to help you cut things, you have to first put it through a insane process. And when that knife breaks down, because it won't last forever,
Right.
the only way that you can resharpen it is to actively break it down. Actively break it down. Actively break it down. And that is the only way that you allow for it to resharpen itself. Because if you just keep trying to use it without breaking it down, it's going to eventually fade.
Right.
But that's an uncomfortable process.
Right. And it will become blunt, and that's why it is important that iron sharpens iron.
The Bible talks about it.
Right. That's why our community is so important. Our support system is so important. Because as brothers and sisters in Christ, we should keep each other accountable.
Sharpen each other.
Sharpen each other.
So what you're saying is transformation is most effective when, one, you work on yourself interpersonally, but two, you surround yourself with people who are going to sharpen you, who are going to be that person who shapes you.
Not the people that make you feel good. You know, these are the people that love you so much that they tell you the ugly, hard truth. Even when you don't want to hear it, even when it hurts your feelings.
So transformation is not just rooted in this idea of interpersonal work, but is rooted in strong support systems, which does not allow for you to seek instant gratification.
Exactly.
It's going to be something that stings a little bit, but something that you need to hear. You know, I think that you're a great outlet for me in that regard. You know, there's no secret. I'm not the most organized person in the world. And you let me know that, you know. Listen, you tell me the only way for you to start feeling better is to become more organized. You know, and that's maybe not something that I want to necessarily hear, but it's something I need to hear because that's going to be something that's going to help for me to grow. Right?
Yeah. And in the same manner, you've kept me accountable with, you know, we can have a whole discussion about this.
And we will.
It's not about the weight or the number on the scale, but it's about being my best self and my healthiest self.
Yeah.
And the truth is, I'm not my healthiest self right now, right? And so pushing me to eat whole foods 80% of the time, because, you know, sometimes, you know,
you're going to splurge a little bit.
That's
longevity, right?
Right. Sustainability.
That's right.
And pushing me to wake up early and work out. And even if I don't wake up early that one day, but I still get my workout in at least 1 hour of that day. Pushing me to do that every single day, even have an active rest day, that is keeping me accountable. That's sharpening me.
Yeah.
You know, like where I'm weak, you're strong. Where you're weak, I'm strong.
Yep.
And we forge each other.
Yeah. And that's what it means to have a supportive community around you to push you in your transformation process.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. I like that. You did something though. You said, I'm not my healthiest self. And I want to highlight that. That is being humble. That is being humble. So humbleness isn't just about accepting failure, but it's about accepting the flaws of your current self, not judging them, because we talked about that.
Right.
Remember, we said
self-reflecting.
But self-reflecting, right. That's the idea, self-reflecting, right? So not saying like, for me, like, oh, I'm just a pig, like I'm, you know, I can't do anything right because I'm just so unorganized. But recognizing like I am not where I need to be.
Yeah. And taking small steps every single day to be better. Everyone has heard the 1% better every day. And it might sound like some old cliche phrase, but it ain't that. It's much more.
Yeah.
It's waking up every day and choosing, right?
Yeah.
I don't feel like I want to make my bed, but I'm choosing to make my bed. I don't feel like, you know, I want to eat eggs and I don't know,
Fruit,
fruit and oats
And that's it.
And that's it, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm choosing to. I don't feel like I want to go run in 30-degree weather, but I'm choosing to.
So in other words, transformation means waking up every single day and making a decision.
Yes.
Remember, something that we live by is tomorrow I can stay in, but today I woke up and I made a decision. I have to do it.
Have to. And by the way, there will be some days where we fail to make that decision.
Yep.
And it's okay that maybe one day went by where you failed to do that. Don't let it be two, though.
I've heard that. Somebody, I can't remember who said it, but somebody said, never let it be 2 days in a row.
Right.
I think it might have come out of that book right there, Atomic Habits.
Very possible. I'm still making my way through it.
There's a lot to digest in that book.
Yeah.
Great book, by the way. Obviously not a sponsor, but it is a great book, Atomic Habits. But yeah, making that choice. And some days you're going to wake up and you're going to be forced to make that choice. You're going to be forced to say, just get up out of bed.
Yeah.
Just put on my running shoes.
Yeah.
Once I put my running shoes on, I've made the decision. I can't back out.
Yeah.
Tomorrow I can, but today I cannot.
Right.
So sometimes that's what transformation is. But again, transformation is ugly. That's the reality. 10% of it is going to feel like cinematic, where you put your hood on, you're running, you're like...
You're in a hype video.
Yeah, like, right? And then some days it's like, you're scooting, you're just
You're
dragging.
shuffling your feet.
Yeah, literally. But that's transformation, It's not a green light. And then the last one's experience. You got to do it.
Yeah.
Gary V, we saw something that he said about making a video. He said, ignore the room. He said, you don't have to have the best stuff. You don't have to have the best equipment. Grab your phone.
We're actually recording on 2 cell phones and an iPad. And some...
And you'll probably hear a shower going.
Oh, yeah.
You'll probably hear...
cars driving by.
Yeah, you'll probably hear somebody walking around. Like, this is not a studio.
Yeah.
This is not a studio.
We don't have the fancy podcast mic. We got these little mini mics here
with fuzzies.
With we got some tripods off Amazon. They were $20 maybe.
We ran to E-Town and we're like, okay, how can we thrift all of this? Like, I think this room is under $500.
Yeah, easily. We thrifted mostly everything, and if we didn't thrift it, it was as economical as possible.
Yeah, or we found it in a bin.
Yeah.
If we didn't thrift it, we found it in one of my bins.
Oh, we recycled some stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And so we say all that to say experience.
Yeah.
Experience is transformation.
Yeah.
Just do it. You said it earlier. Just do it.
Yeah. Well, and we can also say that these other pillars and everything we've talked about, you can roll it into experience.
Absolutely.
It's part of our journey.
It's going to help you.
Right. Our experience is our journey.
Yeah. Exactly. If we want to get real deep into it, every single part of us is going to be transformation, and that falls under experience.
Our past is our experience.
Our future is our experience, and we don't even know it yet.
Yep.
And so that's the biggest thing. Let's talk about the forbidden phrases, though. Okay. But that is a sure reason to not gain experience.
Yeah.
In the social work world, don't mean to expose for any of those who want to go into social work. They literally tell you at the very start, everything that you learn in this program is meaningless without experience. That's what they say. I can learn all I want to. I can read textbooks. I can write pages. I've written a lot of pages.
Almost 20 pages a week.
Yeah. If there's anybody from my high school who's watching this, you're probably laughing right now at the fact that I'm getting my master's, first of all.
Were you not a good student?
I graduated with a 2.3.
Let's go!
Yeah. And honestly, at that time, I probably thought I was trying too hard. So now I'm here getting my master's.
You were a baseball player after all.
I was a baseball player, yes. Nothing against baseball players.
No, not at all.
But we were very committed to our sport, and not really anything else mattered.
Yeah.
In my eyes, in my opinion, at that time. But Yes, now I'm here, getting my master's. I've easily written over 500 pages, easily. Um, and I would love to be a fly on the wall on some of those days where I don't feel like doing that work. But anyway, I say all that to say that degree literally teaches you all that is for nothing if you don't have experience.
Yep.
All of that's kind of sitting behind a screen.
Right.
You actually have to actively get out and practice and fail
Practice.
and remain humble and continue to want to learn based on your failures and overcoming those failures and remaining disciplined, all of the pillars, right? And never forgetting your purpose of serving.
Absolutely.
That's being a counselor in a nutshell. Um, so I mean, I'll talk about all that, I'm sure, at some point. But anyway, this idea of that is a sure way to not get experience. Oh, and again, this is just in my profession. Oh, I really want to start working with people who struggle with substance abuse, but well, forget the first phrase
Yeah.
because the next one that's coming is going to be the thing that you stick to,
Yep.
right? Or this idea of the reality is. The what? The reality is nothing. Because transformation is not reality. Because transformation is not knowledge.
It's a
Transformation is theory.
Right.
So what is reality in this regard? The reality is I'm not going to know how to transform
Until I put it in practice.
until I put it into practice. But the phrase the reality is gives room for doubt and it gives
Right.
room for backing out.
Right.
And then this phrase, let's be honest. Let's be honest what? Let's be honest. What do you mean, let's be honest? We don't know. Let's be honest is insinuating there have been things in the past that are not working, and so therefore things in the future must not work too. This phrase of let's be honest really means I'm projecting
Yeah.
because of my past.
Right.
Let's forget the past because transformation is strictly future. Strictly future.
But your experience is your past. Therefore, we need our past to learn in order to transform.
Absolutely. But we cannot let the past
Define
hinder
us.
us and
Right.
define us. We have to use the past as quantitative.
A quantitative measure.
Yeah, a quantitative measure.
Or
Exactly.
data.
Or data. Yeah, exactly. We just cannot allow for our past. We talked about this. Turning around, your past is the light. Looking forward, your future is the dark. The things that you can see.
Because it's uncertain.
Exactly. The things that you can see are certainty. The things that you cannot see are uncertainty.
Right.
And the future is very uncertain.
Right.
And it is our human condition to want to remain comfortable because comfortable is survivable. Discomfort, I mean, I'm talking like hunting and gathering era.
Right.
Uncertainty was imminent death. So,
But if it wasn't for them stepping into discomfort, we wouldn't be where we are today.
Would not be where we're at today.
There would be no evolution. There would be no progress.
No.
There would be no improvement.
No. We would still be hee-heeing and hoo-hooing to communicate, like drawing hieroglyphics on the wall. Like, so I want to say this, and then we can kind of wrap it up because I know we've been doing this for a while. A lot to say though.
Yeah.
See, this is what we do.
We still have a lot. We could keep going.
But I want to say this, and this is something that I was discerning on. The human condition is to seek comfort. This is due to years of comfort equals survival. To step out of line meant imminent death. Discomfort is literally resisting biology and everything our brains have been conformed to. So, what does this mean? It means that we must redefine comfort, not resist it. So, I know I talked about our anterior mid-cingulate cortex, and you're like, before I say this, you're like, well, you just said that we need discomfort to grow. We need discomfort to redefine what comfort means. Not resist comfort.
Right.
Right? Because we can ultimately, discomfort can transform into comfort. We just have to be willing to go through
Right.
all the pillars to redefine what comfort means. And that's transformation within itself. So I want to say this, and then you can, I don't mean to cut you off, but I want to get through this point. So it means that we must redefine our comfort, not resist it. This requires discipline. Discipline is the part in between the redefining, that complex formula that's needed for persistence and resilience. That is the art of discipline.
Yeah, comfort, like you said, redefining comfort is necessary because comfort a year ago could have meant something different to you.
Your running journey has been extremely uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You were begging me to run inside.
Yeah.
I said, we got to run outside. That's the standard. You got on the treadmill after we were running
And I hated
outside,
it.
and you said, this is terrible.
Yeah. I kept looking at the watch, like, when does this end? We have to go.
Let's think about that for
Yeah.
a second. You redefined your comfort so much so that going backwards was mundane.
Yep.
That's huge. Now running 5 miles is just another run
Yeah.
for us.
Yeah.
Where before, running 5 miles, your back was hurting, your knee was hurting, your head was hurting, everything was hurting, you know?
Well, I think it still hurts, but
But what did you do? You redefined what comfort meant.
exactly.
That's transformation, I think.
Absolutely.
That's what we're trying to instill in everybody. And so I know we were all over the place with our pillars, and it wasn't very organized, and you'll learn very quickly probably that I have ADHD tendencies.
Yeah.
I'm all over the place sometimes. But I think there's an important message within that, and that is all of these pillars are interchangeable.
Right.
And all of them lead to this idea of redefinition. And that's transformation. Redefining, new reality.
They're going to lead to the ultimate outcome.
It's going to lead to the ultimate outcome. But in order to do that, we have to remain disciplined, which is an art. We have to experience, which is the active idea of redefining comfort. We have to remain humble throughout this entire process, and we can, most importantly of all, never, ever forget our purpose.
Right.
Because when things get difficult, when you wake up in the morning and you just do not feel like doing the things that are required of you to transform, you can always go back to the things that you're grateful for.
Right.
And those are the things that are going to carry you through the hardest moments.
Absolutely.
So I think that's transformation.
I believe so. Well, we're not done. We're just done for today.
Right. For those of you who are watching who are on my private marathon journey story, I always say that I've come a long way, but I've got a long way to go. Mm-hmm. And so the road to transformation continues.
It does.